Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Taurus for June 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video to see more about my personal live coaching, also to see more about my 28-day virtual coaching program, which is not coincidentally the span of a full moon cycle, which is how we make and break habits, break old ones, make new ones. So check that out on the sliding scale on my website. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So we have got a super hot, sweet month to talk about for June. There's so many things going on. There always seems to be so many things going on, but there's really a lot of things to talk about. So where do we start? The first thing, let's talk about the energy that we're leaving in May, and that energy is coming with us into early June. So we'll just start there. The end of May into early June, we have Mercury retrograde. We also have these challenging aspects with Neptune. Whenever we have a challenging aspect, or a 90-degree angle is a common challenging aspect, and in this case, these squares are very prominent in this energy of Neptune. These challenging angles bring out the worst sides of the planetary potentials. Every planet, every placement, every sign has this range, this spectrum of potential manifestation. And there are certain things like favorable angles, which we have for most of June after we have this one challenging one, and those bring out the best in the potentials. And this one, this type of angle brings out the worst. So Neptune's worst side is that it can be associated with escapism, avoiding of reality in a way that's not positive. One of the positive ends of Neptune is that there's a fantasy realm that can be used for imagination, etc. But the escapist energy of Neptune in a not great angle is like avoiding reality, deception, addictions, things going on behind the scenes that aren't necessarily supportive. So when you've got a full moon, which we have on June 2nd, this is a full moon in Sagittarius, and this is happening for Tauruses either in the 7th or 8th house, and both of these are partnership houses. So either way, regardless of your placement, your Taurus placement, and where that puts that full moon exactly, whether it's the 7th house or the 8th house or on the line between them, there's some fullness, some completion, some fruition coming involving an important relationship. And for those of you who have that more towards your 8th house, you're going to, especially, so that's the earlier Taurus placements, and some of you middle ones will be on the line there between 7th and 8th. But there's more of the energy of your relationships with stuff. So, and all of you can experience some of what I'm about to describe. This fullness coming to fruition involving financial things, especially shared financial things. So you and a mortgage company, you and your spouse, you and your spouse's family, you and your family, involving money, debt, credit issues, inheritances, things like that. So that is the emotional point of the month. Every month we have this full moon that it's kind of like, it reminds me, you know, I always have dog analogies, that or food analogies, but when you take a dog to the beach or give a dog a bath, and of course water represents emotion, and the full moon rules the water and the emotions. So the dog shakes, and shakes off all the water, and the water flies everywhere and gets all over everything and everyone, right? Well, that's what full moons are like. We have this energy in our fields that we're just walking around with. And if we don't already discharge it before then, the full moon comes and it causes us to shake it off. And there's just like big welling up of energy, and then it just, it's released. So the days before the full moon, so even the last couple of days in May into the first couple of days of June, we've got this emotional welling up involving things regarding relationships. And there could be many other manifestations too, but relationships are going to be a theme for Tauruses. And then we have this angle with Neptune showing us that either something we didn't know is coming to light and it's emotional, or there's something that we're not being told and we're really stressed out about it, you know, some kind of secret, some kind of something involving addiction, something like that. And then after that, the sweetness starts. So we've got June 5th, we start with this string of amazing aspects with Jupiter and Uranus. So Mars and the Sun at this point in the sky are very close together. And the Sun moves quicker than Mars does. So the Sun is kind of behind Mars. So Mars is moving along, and this month they will make an exact conjunction. This happens one every 2-ish years. But before they make the conjunction and after they make the conjunction, they're just right together in the sky. So every aspect that Mars makes, the Sun will come right behind, or vice versa, and they'll both make these aspects, which adds incredible power because they're amplifying each other. So Mars makes this sweet angle with Jupiter on June 5th. And remember always that the dates that I give you, we don't always feel the manifestations on the exact day of the transit. So the exact day isn't even as relevant as just knowing that this grouping of several days around a transit, there's an increased chance for something. And if the planets are outer planets, like this transit we have at the end of June, Jupiter and Uranus, then we feel those for a longer period of time than a couple of days or a couple of weeks. They just get stronger as they get right on. So the highlight for Taurus is money. The Mars and Sun and Mercury in retrograde is all highlighting this energy of finances, security, possessions, getting yourself established on all levels, you know, your individual sustainability. It can also rule expensive things that you have or just material possessions in general. And it's also one of the houses of, well, the house of earned income, money that you make that you earn, which is different from the 8th house, which is some of the things we talked about earlier with the full moon. It's like other people's money, your shared money. This is earned income, money that comes to you that becomes your personal income. So we've got Mars there. We've got Mercury there, we have the Sun there. Then we're also going to have the new moon in Gemini on June 16th there. So tremendous amounts of energy in this second house of all these things that I've just described. Now, as if that weren't already enough energy, we have all of those planets coming and making these different aspects to some of the bigger players like Jupiter and Uranus. And even we have a Venus-Saturn aspect, which takes place in a different area of your chart. So since Jupiter is in the 4th house for you, a lot of this money-related things they're going to be related to home things. You know, there's going to be a connection with money to home, and that can be real estate, that can be your actual home you live in. If you're in a business that does things with homes, it can be involving that, it can be involving family, it can be involving childhood things, or if you work in a field where you're helping children or childhood things, that could also be highlighted. But Jupiter's been expanding this 4th house for you. But wherever Jupiter goes, it takes about a year to move around the full orbit. So it spends about a year, it takes 12 years to move around the full orbit, and it spends about 1 year in each house. So it's been expanding the house of home for Tauruses. And this is, again, this could increase your actual size of your household through all the various ways that can happen. Births, adoptions, people moving in with you. It can increase the size of your house. For some people who are downsizing, it can increase the freedom of how you feel in your house, even though your house is smaller. And this is interesting because we think of Jupiter as bringing something bigger. And often it does. Very often it does bring actually a bigger house or a second home or expanded living circumstances in some way. But sometimes, and I've seen this happen quite a lot, if you have a big mortgage and you invest a lot in that mortgage and you downsize to a smaller home, then your home isn't feeling bigger, but how the oppression that you felt from the big mortgage goes away because you feel expanded in your home from the lower overhead. Things like that. But in any case, all Tauruses have been going through this expansion in home. And now it's being highlighted. There's extra juji here because of these beautiful aspects. On June 5th, Mars and Jupiter make this aspect. Mars in the 2nd house, Jupiter in the 4th house. Money and home. Then we have on June 8th, the Sun comes and makes this beautiful aspect regarding money and home related things or family related things. Then on June 5th and 6th, we have Venus making an awesome angle to Saturn. And this is bringing energy, it depends on exactly what placement you have in your chart, but the bigger picture is that Saturn, we know, can be grumpy, right? I always call, in my mind, affectionately, Saturn is like a crotchety old codger. And you know, he's wise and he has money and he has valuable lessons and he can teach us the ways of the material realm to create on these planes. But, you know, he's kind of difficult and he gets a bad rap because there's karma associated with there's heaviness and all that kind of stuff. Very much like Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay, so Venus comes and makes this beautiful angle, and it's like she's flirting with him, and he likes it, and he's happy, and he bestows gifts. So more energy of money, and it could also be love, relationship. Sometimes relationships come through something like a fourth house because it's a house of home, so it can bring expansion into the home even though it's not one of the official relationship houses. So we have all that going on for Taurus this month. And then we have Mars and the Sun, June 9th, make this amazing aspect to Uranus. Now, Uranus brings surprises, and in previous months, we've had not happy surprises from Uranus. Whenever, like we talked about before, whenever there's a challenging angle like we've had with Uranus in previous months, it brings out the worst in Uranus, which is like shocking things that are not good shocks. They're blindsiding. They feel like a jolt, like, you know, you've just been lit on fire in not a good way. All your, you know, short-circuiting your nervous system. And sometimes that's literally like from your body doing things with its electrical system that aren't good. So all of that is what we're coming from. And this month, around June 9th, and you'll feel this beforehand as well, Uranus makes this awesome angle to Mars and the Sun. So Uranus, for most of you, is in the 12th house, and this placement is very strong for things involving your dreams and ideas. Anything that comes out of the blue is like an energy associated with Uranus, but because it's in the 12th house is associated with the dreams that you have at night. This is also an intuitive or psychic space, so any psychic revelations of any kind, like through meditation or something like that. So ideas that you have that come out of the blue can be directly linked to expansion of your home and family and your money. So this is like an amazing time. People are going to have multi-million dollar ideas at this time. And if you can ground them into reality, they're really going to pay off for you. So the ideas might be so fleeting that you might want to keep a journal, because Uranus by nature is not a very long-term energy. It's like a lightning bolt that comes out of nowhere, and then it's gone, and then you feel like the sizzling around from where it had just hit, but the lightning bolt is long gone, right? And it's not going to come back anytime soon, if ever. So you want to keep track of these ideas. And actually, if you're listening to this in May, this is starting already. This is getting stronger. And this is because of this aspect that comes right exact on June 22nd, which is Jupiter in Leo, making a trine to Uranus in Aries. So Uranus and Jupiter have been in this soft trine. Trine is one of the best angles, really is maybe the best angle. It's like the sacred geometrical configuration of awesome coherence, which is what we all want. So Jupiter has been in a loose trine with Uranus ever since it got into Leo last summer of 2014. And then it went right on, and then it faded, and now it's getting stronger again. And I'm already feeling, this is the beginning of May now, and I'm feeling this energy, and I'm seeing it in people. People are having amazing creative inspiration, just like ideas that are really good. They're really good, but you have to remember to write them down, because as good as they seem and life-changing as they could potentially be, and you feel that, it's very, you're gonna get a lot of chills. Like you'll get, I am right now as I'm talking, there's like this an electric nature to things involving Uranus that send your system in just in a supercharged situation. However, the different many ways that can look. I get chills, that's how I experience it. But so you have these great ideas and you think, well, gosh, I won't forget that idea. There's no way I can forget that idea because it's so great. But you're going to have so many of them that you want to write them down. You want to write them down because with the retrograde months, you can be working on these projects. So June, July, August, September, October, these ideas that you're having, most of you are going to find they're ideas that are based in something from the past. Maybe it's like a totally new idea, but it has to do with things you've been working on, hobbies, things that you're good at, your profession, things that you are going to breathe life in from the past, ideas that you had from the past in a new way or something new about them. So in that way, they're very much protected by this retrograde time for you to really work on them while the energies are going backwards. But there's this new energy of novel newness from Uranus, and it's a fusion. It's an old, new fusion. So you're feeling that in May, you're feeling that getting stronger in June, and at the end of the month, there's this culmination in this Jupiter, Leo, Uranus, Aries. So Mars and the Sun in the beginning of June will make this beautiful angle to Jupiter. Mars and the Sun in the middle of June make this beautiful aspect to Uranus. Then at the end of June, Uranus and Jupiter make this aspect to each other. So that's the theme for the month. And this is all in fire signs. So it's very lively, it's very vibrant, it's very fresh, it's very sizzly. So on June 11th, we have Mercury going direct. Now we know that, if you don't already know that, I'm going to tell you, and then you'll know. When Mercury goes direct, or any planet goes direct, even though as of June 11th it will be direct, you don't then on June 12th go, okay, I'm going to do everything I waited to do because now it's officially direct. Don't do that, because it's like making a U-turn. You have to slow down, and it's very awkward, and then you have to get going again. It's like you're going 60 miles an hour and then you have to make a U-turn. You have to slow down and get in the lane and then come to a complete stop and then turn around and then get going again. That's what the retrograde, the days before it goes direct and the days after it goes direct are like. So from June 8th to June 14th, we're going to be in this chaotic, awkward time of Mercury regaining its footing. Now, it doesn't completely gain its footing again until June 27th. There's this post-Mercury retrograde shadow period. But with every day, June 14th and after, you'll feel the energies clearing more. And because we have Venus going retrograde at the end of July and the shadow period starting June 22nd, so we've got that next retrograde right on top of us, this 2-week period where in general I might advise wait until we get closer to where Mercury's more clear, closer to the 27th. You're going to have some acting points before then, like times that you'll want to get some stuff done. Because this 2 weeks, the second 2 weeks in June, is your best time to act on things involving love and business and money and your creative projects, bringing things out, etc. It's the best time that you're going to have the best opening until the end of October and the beginning of November. So you definitely want to take advantage of it if there are certain things you need to bring out before November, which so many of us have those things. Just watch the awkwardness around those days. If you have to sign something or agree to something, like opportunities are coming in, so many opportunities are going to be coming in, try to hold off until at least June 14th. June 14th is a power day. Again, we're only 3 days out from Mercury being direct, but there's just so many other good things going on to supersede it. And it's not that the retrograde won't show its face and its energy in some way. It will. There's going to be something that has to be redone. There's going to be something that wasn't exactly the way we thought it was going to be. There's pieces of how the retrograde is going to come into play if you commit to things in the second half of June. It's definitely going to come up. But that doesn't mean you're not supposed to do anything. It just means you're supposed to be aware that it's going to come up and leave the flexibility in there for when the changes come. Because there's just such good energy around doing some things that you'll want to be able to take advantage of it. So June 14th is a power day. That's a day that the Sun and Mars come together in the sky, and this is in Gemini. This is, ruling information and social things and sharing information and communication and transportation and mobility. And the Sun is accentuating everything with Mars, and it's just big. So that day, we also have Saturn retrograding into Scorpio. So Saturn has been retrograde, but now it's dipping back into Scorpio. And this is going to bring up karmic things that we haven't dealt with. We had Saturn in Scorpio for a really long time. At the end of December, it got out. And in many ways, some of those problems started to shift that we were dealing with for the years beforehand. But now there's some unfinished business. And if you're paying attention, you'll know what some of that is. You might have in mind, these are some things that aren't quite right, so you can be proactive with this, because the more you're proactive, the less the universe has to bring it up to you to be dealt with in ways that might be more uncomfortable. If you take an active role in your destiny and like something's not quite right with this person or with this, it's going to be very relationship centered. But it could involve other aspects of your life depending on what house in your natal chart this is happening in too, which we can't see in the horoscopes. So just go and try to make things right with people. If there's some owning of something that has to be done, if there's some softening, if there's some compassion that needs to be extended, you'll be happier and you'll get Saturn gifts that come from doing this work. Now, I don't want to lure you in with like the idea of treats, because I don't think that that's a good way. I'd rather you just do it because it's the best thing to do, not because you're going to get treats at the end. But this is one of those things. Saturn is just like that. It's like, okay, if you're doing something that you don't like, then you're basically going to get ice cream or whatever's yummy for you at the end of it. But this ice cream never melts and it lasts forever. That's the kind of gift that Saturn gives you. And these are the kind of gifts that you have in store. If you go back in and deal with these little bits of things, then you've got another Saturn cycle, 28 to 30 years of having the gifts from this. So the stakes are really high. Okay. So on June 16th, we have the new moon in Gemini. And as we talked about before, this is also happening in your house of earned income, money, new income sources, new income streams, money, something that comes to fulfillment from the full moon in the 8th house could then fuel your individual financial situation or business that you want to put together. Another power day on June 21st. The sun moves into Cancer, summer solstice that day. June 22nd, Jupiter trining Uranus, which you'll feel that beforehand. I'm feeling it in May, and so it's going to get really strong then. And the end of the month, June 28th and June 29th, we have Venus making this sweet aspect to Uranus now. So from really all of June, there's potential for happy surprises that will just like make you crazy. Because Uranus is involved in sweet angles to the sun and to Mars and to Venus. So what happens if you have been listening to horoscopes and there have been awesome things happening? Let's say, for example, Jupiter is moving through your 4th house, and I'm saying good stuff with home, good stuff with real estate, good stuff with family, expanding, and you're having a transit and you're not having that happen. What then? Why? Is it because astrology doesn't work or is crap? No, of course not. It's ridiculous. Astrology has been used in all cultures that we have recorded history of their existence. Astrology is used for little things, for on a daily basis, like farming and planting seeds and every kind of thing. You'd be very surprised if you looked at a farmer's almanac, all the things that moon cycles have been used for historically. To even big things, geopolitical decisions by people that are running the communities. Astrology is used on all of these levels. Astrology works because it just is. It's a truth of the universe. It's a holographic reality. It's an awesome tool. So it's not that. What it is that your personal program is not a match for what is wanting to come through. So how I see this happening is the potentials of the stars stream down, and I see it happening in like a funneling. It like funnels down into your crown chakra, and then it mixes. So it's pure potential. So we'll say Jupiter brings this pure potential of this expansion of home and family and real estate, etc. And then it goes down into your being, your brain wiring, which we can see in your natal chart, which is the same hologram as your DNA, and your musculoskeletal structure holds all of these potentials, and it mixes with the stories there and the programs there. So if you have this belief that you can't have this happy growth and expansion in your home because you have a limiting belief system, then your limiting belief system will actually trump the transits in the sky. It's amazing, but it's true. And I see this happen all the time. So you have to shift the program. That's why inner work and astrology is inseparable to me. And you'll never hear me just talking about, wow, that's going to happen and good luck with that. You know, there's nothing you can do to make any of it any different. And in some ways, there is a truth to, there's just some things out of our control, and some things are going to be hard, some things are going to be easy. But there's a big spectrum of experience in there that's a variable as to how you can live in that time, you know, and that's what you have some say in. So that's where inner work comes in. You have to clear out the limiting programs so that when these good potentials come in and say, hey, I want to do this for you, and your limiting program that dissolves away, right? And now it has a new program that says, yes, let's do that. Then when everyone's in agreement, it turns into a manifestation. It comes out your third eye and it is reflected on the screen before you. It's very much like, I like butterflies, so I use this butterfly image where if spirit is light and it's coming through you and it's infusing your body, and it's mixing with these stories. And then let's say you have a projector on your third eye, as I believe we do, and you have right before the projector, you have a butterfly. So the light source is coming from within you with all these stories of the mixed potentials, and it reflects out the butterfly. And then in front of before you in your life, your experience, you see a butterfly. That's your theme of your experience is the butterfly, right? Then That's great if you like butterflies. But if you don't like what's happening out there, you have to change what the light is going through. And the light is going through your programs. So that's why you have to do something about that. And if you're finding that you're not seeing wonderful things happening, the answer is not outside of you. The answer is inside of you. So if you would like some help with that, that's my department. You can go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video. You can see my 28-day virtual coaching program, which is available on a sliding scale so that it's accessible to everyone. And you can look into my live coaching. You can also become part of my community by signing up for my free email newsletter. And I do send out monthly written versions of the highlights of the month ahead to my community. So you can be part of that. So I hope you have a wonderful June, and I'll see you next month.